Hello, good evening students. Till the last video we have completed the chapter relation and function. Okay, now in this week we will start the next a very important chapter which is also called as heart of mathematics of especially class 11-12, that is inverse trigonometry. Now in class 11 you studied a chapter trigonometry. I told you you cannot run away from trigonometry. In class 11 you face lots of difficulties in the chapter trigonometry. I told you to remember all the formulas by heart because it will be used in the next year also. Like similarly, here also in class 12, in this chapter inverse trigonometry which we are about to start, you need each and every formula of class 11 which you studied earlier. So what's your job is, before starting this chapter, go to the class 11, mug up all the formulas again, revise all the formulas again, then you start this chapter. Okay? So this is your first job, to remember the whole class 11, all the formulas of trigonometry. Now, let's start with class 12. Now, what is inverse trigonometry? We have, like trigonometry, we have 6 trigonometric ratios: sin theta, cos theta, tan theta, sec theta, cosec theta. Similarly, we have 6 inverse trigono function. Y equals to sin inverse x, or y equals to cosec inverse x minus 1x, that is inverse. Y equals to cos inverse x, y equals to sec minus 1, that is inverse x. Y equals to tan inverse x, y equals to cot inverse x. Inverse means ऊपर में minus 1 लगाना है, सिर्फ cot है इसके बीच minus 1 लगाना है. Okay. Now in this all the 6 inverse trigono functions, what is this y? This y is range. We know this thing in functions. And what is this x value? This x value is domain. Okay. Now what we have to do in the first exercise of this chapter is we need to learn the range values of all the trigono functions. Only the range value. Domain value is no issue. If you don't remember, forget about it. You don't need to remember those things. It is not in our syllabus. Okay. We need to remember only the range values of all the inverse functions. Is that okay? You have to remember what? Range values. Okay. Now to remember the range values, I will be sending the PDFs with a flowchart, with a table where you have the range values. Okay. Either you mug up those range values directly, or you try to understand what we're gonna discuss here. Here, whatever the discussion we'll do is actually not the mathematics, but just a thinking process to remember the range value easily without mugging up. Okay. Now, to understand the range values, you need to understand few points. First, see here, we know this is a quadrant. First point, this is 0 radian, this is pi radian, this is pi by 2 radian. We know it is 90 degree. 0 radian, pi by 2 radian, pi radian, and this we supposed to write 3 pi by 2, right? Now in this chapter it is minus pi by 2 radian. Why? Because all these values cannot exceed more than pi. Okay, more than 180 is not possible. So if you rotate like this here, if you rotate like this, okay, that means if you rotate further below pi, then what will happen? The angle will be more than pi. But the range values cannot be more than pi. The range values always should be less than pi. That is the reason we cannot rotate it further. We can rotate only till here, or we can rotate anti-clockwise or clockwise. This is anti-clockwise, this is clockwise. But in any way, we cannot rotate more than pi radian. This is the reason why we take the 3 pi by 2 as minus pi by 2. Now why minus pi by 2? In class 11, I told you angles have a sign convention. If you measure the angle in anti-clockwise direction, that is positive. Clockwise direction, it is negative. Now see here. If you go from here to here, it is what? Clockwise? Okay, sorry, anti-clockwise, so it is plus pi by 2. But if you go from here to here, it is anti-clockwise? Yes? Sorry, clockwise, I'm going crazy here. This is anti-clockwise positive, but if you go there like this, clockwise, negative pi by 2. Okay? You rotate clockwise or you rotate anti-clockwise, you rotate in any way, the angle, the range value should not exceed more than pi. ये दिमाग में घुसा लो अच्छे से. Okay? Should not exceed more than pi. So one, you have to remember this. अगर मैं clockwise घूमूं यहाँ से clockwise घूमूं तो ये minus pi by 2 हो जाएगा. Anti-clockwise घूमूं ये pi by 2 हो जाएगा. Okay? Next. Similarly, ये तो 90 का था. If you rotate like this, 0 to 30, pi by 6 is 30, pi by 6 radian. So I am rotating anti-clockwise. If you rotate downward like this, so minus pi by 6, minus 30 degree. Similarly, pi by 4, clockwise, minus pi by 4. Similarly, pi by 3, 60 degree, anti-clockwise. This is anti-clockwise, this is clockwise, minus pi by 3. Okay, so here, from here what we understand, that if I want to find minus 60 degree, where is minus 60 degree? Here is minus 60 degree. So this angle is minus 60 degree, measured clockwise. If you want to calculate plus 45 degree, so this is plus 45 degree, anti-clockwise measured anti-clockwise. Okay, so plus means anti-clockwise, minus means clockwise. So from this figure what we understand, that minus pi by 4 lies in which quadrant? Minus pi by 4 lies in fourth quadrant. Minus pi by 6 lies in which quadrant? Fourth quadrant. Pi by 4 lies in which quadrant? First quadrant. This you understand from this. Okay, these things you have to remember. Next, if I say minus pi by 2, pi by 2, what does that mean? So if I say minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, that means I am starting from here, I am rotating anti-clockwise till this direction. Okay, till pi by 2. So this belongs to first and the fourth quadrant. This you have to remember. Okay, that minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 belongs to which quadrant? First and fourth quadrant. Okay, similarly 0 to pi, this is easy, this everyone know. 0 to pi belongs to which quadrant? First and second quadrant. This is easily we can say 0 to pi, first and second quadrant. Okay, these things you have to remember. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 कौन से quadrant में होता है? 0 to pi कौन से quadrant में होता है? Okay, next. Whatever I have written here, I have written very nicely. See here, not mathematics. This is not a mathematics, okay? It is just a thinking process to remember range of inverse Trigno function. Okay, this is just a thinking process to find out the range. Now, what is the thinking process? When we after some time we will find the range. Okay, there you will come across 0 and infinity together. So when you see 0 and infinity together, you take infinity. When you take 1 and infinity together, you take 1. When you take 1 and 0 together, you take 1. Okay, that means out of 0 and infinity, preference goes to infinity. 1 and infinity, preference goes to 1. And 1 and 0, preference goes to 1. Okay, now taking this into consideration, now we go for all the 6 Trigno functions, inverse Trigno functions range. How to calculate the range. Okay. Okay, class. Now listen very carefully how I am writing the range. Again, these things we have discussed in class 11. If you know positive x value, then in the negative x value, ulta likh do. See here, if you don't remember, you can use now. First, topic is range of inverse Trigno function. Okay. Again, I am saying, either you remember this tarika, this way, this funda of remember the range, or I will be sending you a pics. You mark up that range values. Your choice, you can do whatever you want. Okay, I prefer to use this concept. Okay, let's see. First, y equals to sine inverse x. Okay, now make an x-axis, y-axis. We know to 0 radian, pi by 2 radian, pi radian, minus pi by 2 radian. Right? We used to write this is minus pi by 2 radian. Now, sine inverse है. Now check for sine. Sine 0. Don't go inverse, check for sine. Sine में से sine के लिए सोचो. Sine 0 कितना होता है? 0 होता है. Opposite 0 लिख दो. Sine empty कितना होता है? 1 होता है. Opposite minus 1 लिख दो. Now see, these are the angles. Pi by 2, pi, minus pi by 2. And these are the values at that angle. 0, 1, 0. Okay, how I have written? 0 होगा तो opposite 0 लिख देना. 1 होगा तो opposite minus 1 लिख देना. Now, in the previous, just before that, we studied out of 1 and 0, which one to prefer? 1 to be preferred. तो 1 कहाँ है? Minus pi by 2 में है और pi by 2 में है. इसका मतलब range is what? Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Now listen carefully about the brackets. At minus pi by 2, minus 1 is a finite value, to close bracket. Pi by 2, 1 is a finite value, close bracket. Now between these two, what we have? We have 0 degree, in 0 radian, in 0 radian answer is 0. 0 is also finite, so minus nothing. Okay, you will come across this part later on. यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं होगा. from here to here all the values are finite. So this is the y value. Okay, this is the range of sine inverse. Understand how we did? First we put written the values. 0 पे कितना है sin theta का, pi by 2 में how much we have, pi how much we have written. Then we choosing that concept. We got 1 and 0. So out of 1 and 0 we choose 1. So lowest value is minus pi by 2. Highest. So first we will write the lowest one, then we will highest one. If you repeat this thing here, y equals to cos inverse. Now check for cos theta. Cos 0 1, opposite minus 1 लिख दो. Opposite put a minus 1. Cos 90 0, opposite 0 लिख दो. Again, out of 1 and minus 1, 1 and 0, sorry, 1 and 0, which one to prefer? 1 we will take. So 1 is starting from 0. Here also 1 we have, here also 1 we have. That means what is y? What is y? Y is nothing but range. What is range? 0 to pi. 0 to pi. That means this is the range. Okay. Now, whether to apply close bracket, open bracket. Now see, at 0, what value we have? 1. 1 is a finite number. Close bracket. At pi, what value we have? Minus 1, finite number, close bracket. And between these two, at pi by 2, what we have? 0, finite number, nothing. Okay, let's go to tan inverse now. Similarly, write 0, pi by 2, pi, minus pi by 2. Now, tan inverse, go for tan value. Tan 0, 0, opposite 0. Tan 90, infinity, opposite minus infinity. Now again, out of 0 and infinity, which we prefer? Infinity we prefer. So infinity is where? Here and here. So minus pi by 2, y belongs to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Now listen very carefully. At minus pi by 2, what we have? Minus infinity. That is not a finite value. That means what it is? Open bracket. At pi by 2, we have infinity. Not a finite value, open bracket. Here, at minus pi by 2, we are getting 1. Minus 1 is a finite value. That's why close bracket. But here, at minus pi by 2, we are getting minus infinity. Infinity is not a finite value. So we are writing open bracket. Okay. Now that means first and the fourth quadrant. Now, in between these two, we have 0 degree. In 0 degree or 0 radian, the value as 0. 0 is finite. So minus nothing. Or we can write like this also. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. First bracket. This is also open bracket only. I hope you remember these things. Okay. Either we show with third bracket like this or first bracket like this, open bracket. Now comes to cosec inverse. Okay. For example, you know only sine, cos and tan. You don't know cosec. So there is a particular way to do it. See, for cosec we need to check for cos theta. Sorry, cosec theta. Cosec inverse के लिए किसको check करना पड़ेगा? Cosec theta. What is cosec 0? For example, I don't remember. So I remember sine 0. How much is sine 0? 0. Right? That means what is cosec 0? Cosec is infinity of sine. Sorry, reciprocal of sine. 1 by sine. So it is 0. Then here it will be 1 by 0. So 1 by 0 is infinity. Bar minus infinity लिख दो. Opposite में. Similarly, how much is sine 91? So reciprocal is 1 is 1. So what is cosec 91? Opposite minus 1 लिख दो. Okay. Now, we got 1 and infinity. Out of 1 and infinity, which one we prefer? According to what I have told you, 1 we prefer. Now 1 कहाँ है? Where we have 1? Minus pi by 2 and pi by 2. That means y belongs to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Okay. Now listen very carefully about the brackets. Now see, at minus pi by 2 we have minus 1. Minus 1 is a finite number. So put a close bracket. Pi by 2 have 1. Again put a close bracket. Finite number. In between these two, we have 0 radian. But at 0 radian, value is infinity. So infinity we cannot take. So minus braces 0. Okay, class? Understand why this? Here also, I was talking about minus something. But see, from 0 to pi, in between pi by 2. At pi by 2, answer is 0. So 0 is a finite number. So I am not writing minus anything. Here also, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. At between we have what? 0 radian. At 0 radian we have 0. That is a finite number. So I am not writing minus. But here, between minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, in between we have 0 radian. At 0 radian the answer is pi infinity. Infinity is infinite. It is not a finite number. So minus 0. Okay. Now comes to sec inverse. For sec inverse we need to check sec theta. That means sec 0 we need. Now we don't know sec 0. We know cos 0. Reciprocal कर देंगे. What is cos 0? 1. And what is sec 0? 1 only. Opposite में minus 1 लिख दो. What is cos 90? 0. Sec 90, 1 by 0, that means infinity, opposite minus infinity. Okay, now again, 1 and infinity, which one to prefer? 1 we prefer. 1 kahan hai, 0 or pi mein, that is y belongs to 0 to pi. Okay, now think about bracket. Okay, bracket. At 0, we have 1, finite number, close bracket. At pi, we have minus 1, finite number, close bracket. In between these two, we have pi by 2 radian. At pi by 2 radian, how much we have? Infinity. That is infinite. So minus braces pi by 2. That means we can have any value from 0 to pi, but we cannot have pi by 2. Why? Because at pi by 2, infinity I have an answer. Okay, now comes to cot inverse. For checking cot inverse, we need to find cot theta values. That means cot 0. Okay, let's check tan 0. Tan 0 is 0. And what is cot 0? Infinity. Opposite minus infinity likh do. Okay. Now, next. Tan 90 infinity. What is infinity? Infinity can see here. Infinity can be considered as infinity by 1. Okay. Then what is 1 by infinity? 1 by infinity is 0. Okay. 1 by 0 is infinity. We know now 1 by, since 1 by 0 is infinity. So infinity goes here 0. 1 by infinity is 0. So infinity by 1 for tan theta. Now what is cot theta? Reciprocal. 1 by infinity, that is 0. Opposite 0. Now we have 0 and infinity. So out of 0 and infinity, which one to prefer? Infinity we prefer. So infinity from where to where? So y belongs to 0 to pi. Infinity we have here, infinity we have here, 0 to pi. Okay, now check out the brackets. At 0, okay, we have infinity, that means open bracket. At pi, we have infinity, that is open bracket. Okay, understood? But in between these two, we have pi by 2 radian. At pi by 2 radian, the answer is 0. 0 is finite, so minus kuch nahi hoga. There will no minus here. But here we have minus. Why? Because at pi by 2, the value is infinity. You understood, class? So let's check. Yes, all the details are correct. Okay. Now we will understand how to solve the questions. Okay. The first exercise. Okay. Now see, students. The first type of sum under this chapter is the most easiest sum which comes in the short answer questions. In CBSE it is 1 marks question and in the I6 it is 2 marks question. Okay. Now the type 1 is find principal value of certain functions will be given to you. Okay. Sine inverse minus half, cos inverse 1 by root 2, cos inverse 3 by 2, like this. Okay. Find the principal value. Now what is this principal value? This principal value is only the range which we understand just now. Na? The range should lie between different, like for sine inverse, we understand it is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, like that. For tan inverse, again it is minus pi by 2 pi by 2, but cot inverse, it is 0 to pi. These things we understood just now, okay? So, we need to find the principal value. So, understand principal value means range. Now, here we need to use a particular thinking process. This is written, I have written here thinking process. What thinking process you have to listen carefully. First point, for inverse Trigno with range minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, use formulas given to remove negative. Okay, sine of minus theta equals to minus sin theta, cosec of minus theta equals to minus cosec theta, tan of minus theta equals to minus tan theta. Second, for inverse Trigno with range 0 to pi, use quadrant concept to remove negative. Minus cos theta, cos of pi minus theta, minus sec theta, sec of pi minus theta, minus cot theta equals to cot of pi minus theta. Now what I want to say, I have read what is written on the board because you may find difficulty in understanding what I have written. Okay, now let's discuss what they say. Whichever Trigno function you are dealing with, we have 6 Trigno functions, right? 4 plus 2, 6. We have 6 Trigno functions. Out of 6 Trigno functions, see nicely, in 3, sine, cosec and tan, the range is always minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Extra we have, forget about brackets and everything for the time. Brackets क्या है? Please bother. Minus 0 है कि नहीं, minus pi by 2 है कि नहीं, please bother. Main part is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 we have. In this sine, cosec and tan. So in these 3 Trigno, inverse Trigno functions, okay, we have minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 as a range. So when we have minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 range of an inverse Trigno function, which you are working with in the question and you come across a negative sign, you want to remove that negative sign. So what you do, you put that negative sign inside like this using the formula. But if you are dealing with cos, for example, okay, but the range of cos is 0 to pi, okay, so that times you cannot put this minus sign inside. Though we have a formula also, we don't have a formula of like this, na? Now, one misconception student will have, sir, क्या extra बता रहे हैं? तो formula है पता है हमको, लेकिन सुनो, listen very carefully what I'm saying. This is the formula you know, okay. But what is cot minus cot theta? Minus cot theta can also be written as cot of minus theta, right? But if you write this in this chapter, you're gone. Okay? Why? Because cot range is 0 to pi. So for the range of 0 to pi, you have, if you want to remove this minus, you have to remove like this. Cot of pi minus theta करके हटाना पड़ेगा. Okay? That I want to say. So don't think that I am using the formulas here. No, I am using a particular concept using the formula, but the same formula is not working here. See? Here also I use, if you use the formula, we can put this minus inside. That is mathematically exactly correct. But in this chapter, we cannot use that. Okay? So if you want to get rid of a negative sign in particular part of a question, okay, I want to remove this negative sign in from front. So for removing the negative sign, how to proceed in which type of question, that is given to you. So if the range is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, you put that negative sign inside. If the range is 0 to pi of the function you are dealing with, you may be dealing with cos, you may be dealing with sec, you may be dealing with cot. In those cases, if you want to remove this minus sign, in the place of minus cot something, you have to write cos of pi minus something. Minus sec something, sec of pi minus something. Minus cot something. You understand class what I want to say you? I want to say is that in short, in simple word, when the range of a function is minus pi by 2 pi by 2, you can put the minus sign inside. But if the range of the function which you are dealing with is 0 to pi, you cannot put that minus sign inside. Though it satisfies the formula, you have to use pi minus something. Okay, let's do some sums, then you will understand nicely what I am talking about. Okay. See, I have this most simplest 3 questions here where you will understand everything nicely. See here. Find sine inverse minus half. Okay. What you need to calculate? Sine inverse minus half. Solution start from here. Let sine inverse minus half equals to theta. That means I have considered this term as theta. That means you need to calculate theta. Okay. Now, how to write this? You have taken sine inverse minus half theta. That means theta is sine inverse value. So you have to write the range of sine inverse. So what is the range of sine inverse? Theta is sine inverse value. And that means this theta must belongs to range of sine inverse. Close bracket minus pi by 2 comma pi by 2. You understand where to write this? How we understand? You have to see theta what I have taken. I have taken sine inverse. This as theta. That means whatever after calculation I will get theta, that theta must belongs to minus pi by 2 pi by 2. If after calculation, if the theta value is not belonging to this, listen very carefully. After calculation, if this theta is not belonging to this, if it is not minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, where is minus pi by 2 here? Where is pi by 2 here? If the theta is not coming in between, then the answer is incorrect. That is not the answer. You understand? So you have to write this statement, very important. So I am taking let the quotient sine inverse minus half equals to theta. Okay, now theta belongs to what? Sine inverse range. Okay, now when this sine inverse goes this side, becomes sine theta, we have minus half. Now see, since we are doing the first question, so I am writing this thing again. I am shifting sine theta here and keeping minus half. Same, they are same, I think so. They are same, isn't it class? Since we have minus sign here, so I am writing opposite like this. Okay. Now, whenever you have a minus sign here, keep the minus sign like that only. Don't think about minus sign for the timing. Keep it minus 1, minus only. Rest, whatever you are left with, what you left with other than minus? Half. Now check half. What we have here? Sine. So half goes to which angle of sine? यहाँ पे क्या है साइन? तो माइनस को छोड़ दो, कुछ मत सोचो, माइनस को माइनस लिख दो. हाफ गोes to sin 30. So I've written sin 30 pi by 6. You cannot write 30 degree, okay? You have to write in degree. Sin pi by 6. Now see, sin theta equals to minus sin pi by 6. Can we equate them? No. Sin नहीं होगा, minus है ना? So my job is to remove this minus. Why we need to equate? So that we can get the value of theta. Because we need to calculate this. And this is what? Theta. So we need to calculate the value of theta. For calculating theta, See, Trigno parallels become same, but minus sign is creating problem. That means we need to remove this minus sign. What we have understood just now. Okay, how to remove minus sign? Okay, now see, minus sign. To remove minus sign, there are two ways. Either to put it inside or you have to use a quadrant constant. Now, for that you need to check the range. So what is the range here we are dealing with? Sine. Sine का range क्या होता है? Minus pi by 2 pi by 2. So in those cases we put the minus sign inside. Okay. अब तो sin sin equal हो गया. We can equate. Therefore theta is what? Minus pi by 6. Okay. Now you got minus pi by 6. You check once whether it's minus pi by 6 lies in between. Yes. Minus pi by 2 pi by 2 के बीच में minus pi by 6 इधर lie करता है ना 30 degree. That means it is lying. So this is that. Okay. Same goes for C. Find cos inverse minus half. So let the quotient equals to theta. So now theta is whose value? Cos inverse. So right, theta belongs to the cos inverse range 0 to pi. Close bracket 0 to pi. Okay. Now this cos inverse will go this side, becomes cos theta. Cos theta equals to minus half. I can write like this also. Cos theta equals to minus half. Now again minus here. Keep the minus sign like that. Half goes to which angle of cos? Cos 60 pi by 3. Now again see, at this step can we equate them? Because we need to get the value of theta. This is the answer. This I need. What is that? Theta. That means मुझे theta निकालना है. To get the theta we need to equate. But we cannot equate right now. Why? Because we have a minus here. So how to remove this minus? So what is the range here? We cannot put this minus inside because the range is 0 to pi. So what I have told you, for 0 to pi, to remove this minus, what you have to use? Cos pi minus pi by 3. Okay. Minus cos theta, cos of pi minus theta. Now solve it. 2 pi by 3. So theta, now we can equate. Cos theta equals to cos 2 pi by 3. And what is theta? 2 pi by 3. Okay. Now you have to check whether this belongs to 0 to pi or not. So what is 0 to pi? यहाँ से यहाँ 2 into pi by 3. What is pi by 3? 60. What is 2 into 60? 120. So 120 lies here. That means this belongs to the answer is correct. Okay. Now let's do one more solve without a minus sign. This is the most simplest one. Tan inverse 1 by root 3. Let tan inverse 1 by root 3 is theta. Question को theta ले लिया. अब now theta is what? Tan inverse value. That means theta belongs to range of tan inverse. Open bracket minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Now this tan inverse go that side. So tan theta 1 by root 3. Now see, we don't have any minus. So directly write 1 by root 3 belongs to what? Tan 30 degree. Now we can equate directly here. Theta equals to pi by 6 because we don't have minus sign. Here we cannot equate here. Why we cannot equate at this point? Because we have a minus sign here. So we have to remove minus. How we removing? Sometimes we are putting it inside, sometimes using the quadrant constant. Okay. Now again this pi by 6 belongs to minus pi by 2 pi by 2. Pi by 6 lies here. Okay. 30 degree. It belongs to minus pi by 2 pi by 2. You understand class? So in the next video we will solve more typical problems. Not typical. This topic is very important. Okay. Let's go to the next video. Thank you very much.